Welcome to the Business of Being a Student webinar brought to you in collaboration with Red Hawk Central, featuring expert insight from Adrian Perry here. As we navigate the intricacies of university life, it's essential for both students and their parents to understand the nuances of registration and holds. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. A registration is approaching and holds were placed, and if your student received a hold, they should be getting an email shortly. In this webinar, we'll delve into the essential informations you will need to guide your student. So Adrian, take it away.
Thank you, Kelsey. Good afternoon, everyone. As she said, I'm Adrian Perry. I'm an enrollment advocate at Red Hawk Central here at Montclair State University. So our job is to do proactive outreach to try to help students through some of the obstacles that come up. So this webinar, I'm going to share my screen real fast, so bear with me. We are going to go over the business of being a student, and holds are really the biggest thing right now with registration approaching. I'm going to briefly go over who we are, what it is we do, why your students should check with us, some pre-registration steps, what holds are, really the nitty-gritty of what they are, what they prevent and what they cause issues with, and how we can fix those and resolve them, and then contact us information. And we'll do a Q&A at the end as well if you have any questions. So just to take it away, so who is Red Hawk Central? So what we are is we're the one-stop student service center for any questions relating to financial aid, billing, and registration questions. So when FAFSA comes up, which that's a big thing right now too, if there's something wrong with your bill or something that looks off or anything having to do with registration, we answer a lot of those questions. We provide a few different types of service. The main ones are we have our one-stop center. Our one-stop center is available for in-person support. We do have email assistance as well. So we have, and we'll go over what that contact information is. We have a live chat on all of our websites. And we also have a self-service station. So for our students that have to print anything for any of our processes or need to submit anything, we have a self-service station that we can provide one-on-one guidance for. We have our call center that provides assistance over the phone. So whenever you've called our main number, you speak to one of our call center agents, and they help out with any of those same questions. They also jump into our email when there's times where it's high peak or high volume. So you'll hear from them during that time as well. And our attention services. So the team that I'm actually a part of, we do a bunch of different things. So we do call campaigns, email and text campaigns. We do targeted outreach to our students that usually have holds or different obstacles to try to get them through them proactively. We do provide email assistance, and we have a separate email inbox for us. And we do have Zoom and virtual assistance as well as in person. So I do have a colleague, Crystal Allen. We both provide Zoom and virtual appointments as needed, and I do some of our in-person appointments as well. In terms of what it is we actually do, so we assist students and families with understanding how to make sense of their Nest account. So for those that may not be familiar with what Nest is the student portal that all of our students have access to look at their financial aid, their billing, their registration information, and their degree audit, as well as other information. That's where most university information is going to be posted for them if it's not emailed to them already. We provide guidance if next steps are needed, and what processes there are to complete. So a lot of our issues are students will come in and there's additional steps that they may not understand or may have missed. So we want to make sure we help guide them through those processes. And additionally, we also have escalation processes. So what happens with that is when we have a situation where a student has a more in-depth problem that needs to be reviewed or assisted, we have our partner offices where we send in escalation tickets, and they will look into those issues and then do outreach to the student to help them navigate whatever that escalated issue is. We do address questions related to the FERPA proxy and how to self-advocate. So for those that are not familiar with FERPA, that's the Federal Education Rights and Protection Act. Essentially, that's the federal policy that prohibits us from talking to anyone that's not the student. Now, the student does have the ability to provide that information or provide proxy access. So a lot of our concerns or when parents come in and they say, I want to have a conversation about my student's account, we can't have those conversations unless that proxy is provided for us. We have the ability to guide students as to how to fill that out and families how to fill that out. And we want to make sure you have the opportunity to self-advocate and be able to be a resource for your student if they're not available to speak with us. We also provide university resources and contact information across the campus. So I'm a two-time alumnus. A lot of my colleagues are alumni. So we do have a familiarity with the university and where you can find different things and some of the ins and outs and tricks of the trade. So we're happy to share a lot of that with you. So we're able to provide that as well. Why students should be checking with us. So we provide up-to-date information on students' accounts. So the university can change on a dime sometimes. So anytime that information changes or is updated, we get that information and we share it with your students. And we share it with you all as much as we're able to. We can advise on timing and deadlines, and that is a big deal because a lot of things are contingent upon those timings and deadlines. So we're happy to share that information with you as well. We also help make sense of a lot of our processes. So when students come in and they're like, I'm not sure what this means, or I don't know how to proceed, we're the ones that are able to walk you through those steps each step of the way. And we also, like I said, ensure that students understand what their Nest account is actually telling them. We want to make sure that they're clear on what's needed on their account and how to move forward. Now, what happens when they don't? Because inevitably, we do have students that don't. Deadlines pass. That is a big deal because the students can either miss out on different things or they can be stuck with different charges. The health insurance is a prime example. When we miss that deadline or miss the appeal deadline, students do get stuck with that charge. So we do have that issue more often than we would like. So we want to make sure that we let students know when those deadlines are. They can miss out on financial aid and other processes. So HESA, and for those students that are eligible for TAG, if that deadline is missed, they miss out on a fair amount of free money. I've seen students come in and miss out on about $5,000 worth of free money, which is an uncomfortable conversation to have. So we would definitely want to make sure that we can maximize our students' aid eligibility and opportunity, but they won't be able to if they miss out on some of those opportunities. Holds, which again, I'm going to go into the nitty gritty of what that is shortly, and just other account issues. We want to try our best to avoid as many account issues as possible and make this experience for your students and for you as smooth as possible. As Kelsey mentioned, registration is fast approaching. Registration will begin April 5th and will go through, I believe, the 11th. Now, that means that students can register after that, but that's really when the start of priority is. So the first pre-registration step we want to make sure your students are doing is make sure that they check out the fall 2024 course schedule on our website. It hasn't been released yet. The estimated release date is on or around March 18th. So around that time, they should get some outreach that the course catalog is available. And the QR code that's on this page will link you to that course schedule opportunity. Step two, we definitely want to have your student set up a meeting with their academic advisor or visit the success center of their college. We definitely want to make sure they touch base. The advisors are going to be the ones that give them the best pinpoint course direction that they want to take. So we definitely want to make sure that they meet with them and get the proper guidance as to what they need to do. And then the third step, so this definitely helped me when I was in undergrad and even in grad school. We definitely want to have your students map out their intended schedule. So that means course name, the course reference number, the date and time of those courses. We definitely want to make sure they do that and have a bunch of different scheduling options so that if classes fill up, students still have the opportunity to look at different options. But we also don't want them to go in panicked and not know what other options are available. So definitely talk to your students about making sure that that opportunity is available. So the fun part of this presentation, holds, and what are they exactly? So a hold is really just a systematic lock that is placed on a student's account due to non-compliance, missing requirements, or overdue processes. So essentially what happens is if any one of these things are happening on a student's account, the student is blocked from moving forward, and we'll go into what processes are affected. But some examples of common holds are a large balance hold. So that hold was, as Kelsey mentioned, placed on students' accounts on Monday. So if your student or anybody has over $3,000 of a balance, that hold will have manifested on Monday. A small balance hold, which is anything that's below that 3,000 mark, but still greater than zero. So essentially anything that's not fully resolved, but under 3,000. Advising required. This hold actually takes place if a student is on academic probation. They will need to meet with an advisor, and we'll go through that in a minute as well. The transcript hold usually means we're missing a transcript either from a previous institution or from their high school. And the immunization hold, which literally just means that they're missing some vaccination documentation. Now, something I definitely want to highlight is that this is a preventative process versus a punitive principle. So students come in, a common concern is that students come in and say that we're punishing them. The point is really to prevent them from having issues moving forward, especially with that large balance hold. The concern is a lot of our students are already struggling with affording the semester. The thought process is if they can't afford this semester, we definitely don't want to put them in a further hole going into the next semester. So we want to make sure we prevent that as much as we can. In terms of the impact on registration and housing, holds do prevent and prohibit a number of different processes, and students won't be able to complete those processes if there are holds on their account. And they're more than welcome to check in with us to double check exactly what holds those are. So just to give you an example, some processes that are impacted by holds, registration is the big one. If you have a large balance hold, a transcript hold, and various other holds, the student won't be able to register for classes. So we definitely want to make sure we get those situated. Housing selection, because that will also be the next big process that will come up. The deposit was due last week. If you weren't clear on that, the deposit was due last Friday. Now that they're able to pay that deposit, but if they're not able to register for classes and they have certain holds in their account, they will not be able to select their housing until that those holds are resolved. Access to grades. Really, the big thing with that is if you have a balance of any kind on your account, you're unable to see grades on your Nest account, which can be troublesome and anxiety inducing for some of our students. Obtaining transcripts, official and unofficial. If there is any balance of any kind on a student's account, they will not be able to access transcripts, which can be a problem if they're trying to transfer, if they're trying to get scholarships that require transcript information. A lot of processes that require transcripts won't be able to be completed if there's certain holds on the account. And another big one is obtaining a diploma. So if you have a student that's graduating in the near future, if there's a balance of any kind on their account, they won't be able to order the diploma. So what will happen is that hold will need to be resolved, and then they'll need to reach out to the registrar's office, and they can reach out to us for any guidance as to how to handle that process. Now, specifically how to resolve these holds. So balance holds, which is really the biggest one that we deal with. Just for clarity, a student can register for classes if their balance is 3,000 or below. So once they're below that threshold, they are able to register. But in order to resolve it fully, we have a few different options, and I do have hyperlinks associated with this so that when Kelsey shares this with you later, you'll be able to look at some of our different options. We have a tuition payment plan still available. We have the Parent Plus loan, that's an option. We have a scholarship search page called Scholarship Universe that you can check out using that hyperlink, as well as private loans, which is everybody's last resort, but it is an option. Please also share with your students. Temporary hold lists are not an option. We do get that question very often. Unfortunately, student accounts is going to hold the line on this, as are we. So temporary hold lists are not an option. They will need to get that balance below that 3,000 threshold. Advising required. So this does mean that a student is going to have to connect with their academic advisor or the success center of their college. Once they reach out to them and meet with them and handle whatever meetings they need to handle, the advisor will be the one to remove that hold or to shift that hold. So we do not have the ability to remove that hold. So just keep that in mind as well. Transcript holds. If the student is a transfer, they will need to go back to their previous institution, and they'll need to get their final college transcript and send that to our registrar's office. We do have an email here, transfermsu@montclair.edu, that specializes specifically in handling that process. So just make sure that they connect with their previous college and send us whatever information we need. If the student is a new freshman and we're missing the information from their high school, they'll need to get their high school transcript and submit that to MSU ADM at montclair.edu, which is our admissions office. Immunization holds, they'll need to submit any vaccination information or health documents through the My Portal. I have a hyperlink there as well. And if they have specific questions about that, our student health center information is listed on our website. They can contact them with any questions or concerns. We unfortunately don't hold any of the authority to remove these holds. We can just guide them as to how to correct them, and then the different offices will remove those holds for them. Now, if you have any questions or concerns aside from our Q&A today, you are absolutely welcome to reach out to Red Hawk Central using this QR code. You're able to scan this using your phone, and all of our contact information is there. We have in person, which you can come to Cole Hall.